tadi itu si sadar itu Kak Ima. Sadar.
A man who works in tent and wedding decoration rentals shared a terrifying experience on TikTok that he had during a job. When he arrived at the family's house where the event would be held, he was shocked to discover that the yard where the wedding would take place contained several graves. He was even scolded because his vehicle stepped on some of these burial sites. However, something strange was captured by the camera once he finished installing the tent and decorations.
Ini makam 1, 2, sama ini makam panjang. Makamnya panjang banget, guys. Kita lihat nanti hasilnya.
The graves were enormous and extended throughout the entire area. When reviewing the video later at home, the man realized that the figure of an elderly woman with disheveled hair and dressed completely in black had appeared, standing next to the tent watching him. This disturbing and terrifying presence had been there the entire time, but he didn't notice her presence until he edited the recorded material. On another occasion, 2 bridal makeup artists were heading at 3 in the morning to their clients' house when they were filled with terror upon seeing a white figure that stood under an arch in front of them.
Masuk ke makam, mundur jalan. Astagfirullahaladzim.
The apparition had the shape of a specter wrapped in white cloths located under the structure. Realizing that this was not a real person, they decided not to continue their journey and returned the way they had come. A worker returning home at night encountered a disturbing apparition.
Astagfirullahaladzim.
In the recording, you can clearly observe a woman dressed in white with a pale face who remained seated on a wall. Despite his fear, the man bravely stopped and filmed her for a considerable amount of time.
Orang jari-jari kok kosong kowe. Nah,
Several neighbors became alarmed when a mysterious figure dressed in white appeared, remaining motionless on the roof of a mosque. The presence stayed, still near the sound system on top of the religious building. Curious residents approached in groups to observe and record the phenomenon, but so far it has not been determined whether it was a real person or a supernatural manifestation.
Ini kurang kot ajuri gue kieu, ajuri non goblok-goblok teuing.
Women were creating social media content by dancing cheerfully, but only 2 of them noticed something strange. Behind the 2 who were in the back of the group, there was a figure dressed in white that remained motionless watching them. The 2 women who didn't perceive the presence continued dancing without concern, while the other 2 who did notice it froze, showing expressions of terror on their faces. A man who was experiencing constant paranormal events in his home decided to document each of these disturbing situations. In one of his videos, you can clearly see how the kitchen faucet activated repeatedly by itself, but what was most disturbing was the shadow of a person that appeared reflected inside the dishwasher.
Excuse me. Are you back there again? This has become its favorite spot. Now, and there he is. Okay, that's enough water, please. Okay. Everyone can see you in their reflection, bud. Everyone can see you in their reflection. And it's gone. Okay. I know he's not in here, but I just want anyone who's watching to see. This is too small, but just look, it's not. I just wanted you to see. The cabinets are knocking again. I'm leaving. Ouch. That's enough for today.
When he went to investigate, he found no one in that place.
Okay, that's enough water, please. Okay. Everyone can see you in their reflection, bud. Everyone can see you in their reflection. And it's gone.
A Chinese ghost hunter ventured during the night to explore a public cemetery, but ended up terrified by what he witnessed. The images show with complete clarity a woman with an extremely pale face, dressed in a red dress, who remained seated on one of the graves. The figure watched the man with a completely expressionless facial expression, which caused him to run away in terror. A driver traveling through a dark and lonely place was filled with panic when he saw a strange and mysterious presence on the road. The apparition, which resembled a woman in a white dress, moved from side to side, blocking the path. The driver, filled with fear, reduced his vehicle's speed, hesitating whether or not to cross the area where this disturbing figure was. Procaded, a woman who observed an apparition on the exterior stairs of a house near the main road, hurried to record it. In the images, you can vaguely distinguish what appears to be an elderly woman dressed in white with disheveled hair, who remained seated silently on the steps. The person filming the scene felt deeply terrified by what she was witnessing. Security cameras installed in a park captured a mysterious woman dressed in white who walked alone before disappearing completely.
Astagfirullahaladzim, guys, kalian ada yang tahu nggak sih ini apa? Dia lagi mojok di ujung tangga. Itu liatin, kalian ada yang tahu nggak sih itu apa?
The recordings show with absolute clarity how this figure suddenly vanishes without a trace. The security guard who was watching these images from his monitor was startled and filled with fear upon witnessing this inexplicable phenomenon.
Kalian ada yang tahu nggak sih itu apa?
Ah, kelain mang eta mang.
Anjir.
Anjir, non eta mang euy.
A man at that moment, together with his wife, was climbing Mount Shikarai in the afternoon when the weather was rainy and foggy. When he playfully recorded his wife from behind, he didn't realize there was something strange as follows. Please observe. From the distance in front of them, there was an apparition that looked like a figure dressed in white that was just standing still. Strangely, when this video was recorded, the man didn't see or feel anything strange at all, and only realized it after he was already at home and watched the recording again. This strange incident was experienced by a woman who lived alone with her child in their new house. When she felt bored and playfully sang while being recorded, her camera accidentally captured a strange apparition as follows. Please observe.
Se as lágrimas embaçam seu olhar e o coração. Ai, mamãe, vai pra sala, vai pra mamãe gravar, senão eu esqueço. Tô já. Se as lágrimas embaçam seu olhar e o coração já não consegue mais se alegrar, é nessa hora que
Recorded on camera, there was an apparition on the stairs that looked like feet hanging downward. First, its appearance was not noticed by that woman. The second time, the woman realized and did a check. However, unfortunately, she didn't have the courage to go upstairs because the second floor was very dark.
é nessa hora que
A man that night was hunting eels in the rice field while video calling with his friend. However, it wasn't an eel that he got, but instead he encountered this terrifying thing. Please observe.
Aduh, kira. Aduh, naon ngayet teh.
Turun, warbun, turun.
Astagfirullahaladzim, naon itu euy?
Mang.
Itu naon itu? Astagfirullahaladzim, la ilaha illallah.
Mang.
Anjing.
Eta mang, anjing.
Astagfirullahaladzim.
Ketempo mang, ku aing mang.
Hah?
Ketempo ku urang ge mang.
Geus ku cacing kalung abeh. Teh layak keneh teu. Bisi karung.
Teuing tah. Tuh. Lain mang eta mang.
Anjir.
Naon eta mang euy? Naon eta mang?
As we could see, there was an apparition of a figure with long flowing hair and dressed in white that was standing in a dark place not far from that man's position. He who realized the presence of the figure that was suspected to be a very tall kuntilanak instantly got goosebumps and was frightened.
Tuh. Lain mang eta mang.
Anjir.
Naon eta mang euy?
A man who was on duty for night patrol was surprised and frightened when he saw the following apparition. Please observe.
Cek kolong yang bener aja cucu.
Very clearly recorded, there was an apparition of a head figure with disheveled hair and strange black face under the space beneath his hut. The figure that looked terrifying was observing him, which made the man instantly scream surprised and hysterically frightened. Seeing an apparition of a figure like this behind the house at 12 o'clock midnight, a man immediately rushed to record it. Please observe. As we could see, there was an apparition of a figure with long flowing hair and dressed in clean white that was sitting behind that man's house. The figure that was suspected to be a kuntilanak had a pale face and was observing him, which made the man instantly feel very frightened. A man who was testing his courage in a public cemetery was surprised by the arrival of an OJL driver, who was confused looking for his customer's address who had ordered food. According to the customer's address point, the location was correct, being in the middle of the cemetery. However, as we could see, there wasn't a single residence house there, and then this is what happened. Please observe.
Ini Jalan Senam nomor 24.
Jalan Senam.
Atas nama Ibu Asti.
Bapak nganter apa?
Ini food.
Pada di dia mah teu aya ieu teu aya bumi. Paling sebelah sana aya warga. Cuman jauh, tapi titiknya di mana di sini?
Iya sih,
Titiknya di dia, laras Bapak.
nomor 24.
Dicoba dicek dari di dia tebih atuh ka bumi paling ditu aya nih orang. Itu paling ditu aya warga sareng paling ditu tapi tebih. Pak, motor di mana?
Oh, nak.
Yakin Bapak?
Mau nanya?
Bisa ada Bapak. Hei! Anjir! Kalau ngagetin, enggak anjir si Bapak itu wanian bener loh Tom. Astagfirullahaladzim, maaf sebelum saya agak kasar ya. Semoga dijauh kaditus ya. Jauh ya Bapak. Itu turun. Ayah. Pak, yakin Bapak coba abis ninggal deui cik Pak. Yakin eta? Astagfirullah. Yakin eta? Astagfirullah. Oh.
As we could see, right in front of that Ojol driver, there was an apparition of a figure with very long and very disheveled hair. However, unfortunately, its real form was not seen completely. It was only briefly seen like a head figure with very long hair and as if it had a white face. What is your opinion? What figure was that? Write your answers in the comments section.
Yakin Bapak coba abis ninggal deui cik Pak. Yakin eta?
A man heard sounds coming from behind his house at midnight, and when he checked it, this is what he found. Please observe.
Coba lihat guys. Tuh guys. Naik duku-duku guys. Nyata nggak? Ayo. Kepalaku besar. Oh, apa itu? Tajum, tajum. Ayo, tajum. Oh, aduh. Mana zoomnya guys? Mana dia?
As we have already witnessed, that man bravely dared to record the apparition of the figure that was behind him. The apparition briefly looked like a pocong but had a large head according to that man's testimony and direct observation.
Naik duku-duku guys. Nyata nggak? Ayo. Kepalaku besar.
Makan ya.
A woman recorded her pet dog that was behaving very strangely. Please observe. Very clearly recorded. The dog appeared as if something was pulling and tugging its body until it made its body spin around. Seeing the strangeness right in front of her, this woman was instantly silent with fear, unable to do anything but record it. A A strange incident was recorded on CCTV installed in an office basement at 12 o'clock midnight, which showed a man behaving very strangely, jumping around, allegedly possessed by a pokong that was chasing a man. Please observe. As we could see, that man was jumping around in the basement courtyard chasing his office colleague who was going home. After being in the corner of the basement, he then stopped and just stood still like a statue, according to the assumptions of witnesses who saw directly and watched the replay on the CCTV recording. The man, who was known to work as an office boy, was indeed experiencing a phenomenon of possession, namely possession by a pokong spirit. What do you think? Please write in the comments section. A man who was working the night shift at a paper factory was startled and got goosebumps when he saw the following apparition. Please observe. Right behind that pile of white-colored papers there was an apparition that at first glance looked like a pokong observing that man. Perhaps because he was used to seeing such apparitions at his workplace, the man didn't feel afraid at all.
Tinggi, putih, gede banget sih, bangsat emang babi lu. Gue samperin juga lu monyet. Kira betah.
A man was surprised and frightened when he saw a video that was recorded by his own child, which showed an apparition in the form of a pokong in their house yard. Observe carefully the following video. There was an apparition of a figure dressed in white with a black face peeking from the window. Then, not long after, the figure that was suspected to be a pokong suddenly flew up. This made his child, who was recording, startled and then turned off the recording.
Mira. Kau tengok benda putih tu? Mana? Tu, dapat tu. Tingkat luar tu. Tingkat mana? Tahu tu. Wongnya. Tu dapat tu.
Man and several family members who were vacationing at this beach were playfully recording to capture the moment of their family members who were eating food in a hut near the beach. However, please observe that there was an apparition that he didn't realize. Very clearly recorded. There was an apparition of a woman dressed in white with long flowing hair who was sitting quietly beside that hut. The figure that was suspected to be a Kontalanek had a pale white face, and not a single person, including the recorder, realized its presence.
Makan nih ya. Makan. Kok makan kok? Sayang. Makan ya. Makan ya. Makan ya. Makan ya.
A hiker who was coming down from the mountain at Maghrib time saw an apparition of a mysterious woman wearing a white dress standing beside the hiking trail. Feeling that this was very strange and unusual, he ignored that figure but managed to record it. Please observe. clearly recorded on camera. That mysterious woman figure in a white dress initially just stood still among the trees near the hiking trail. Then, not long after, that strange woman figure walked behind that man, following him down. However, he acted as if he didn't see anything and continued his journey. Daring to live stream alone in the forest on the night of one Suro, this brave man was surprised by the appearance of a pocong with a black and terrifying face.
Ya Allah, bibirnya tebal guys. Bibirnya tebal sekali guys. Allahu Akbar. Bibirnya tebal guys.
A CCTV camera, installed facing this shophouse yard, recorded an apparition of a strange figure as follows. Please observe. As we could see, there was a shadow of a mysterious figure dressed in white walking beside that shophouse. The apparition that at first glance looked like a woman then stood beside the cart and then shortly disappeared. The video shows several people who were in a car traveling. Realizing that the road they were passing was very horrifying, dark and deserted, they instead laughed loudly to eliminate their fear. And then this is what happened. Please observe. Very clearly.
Ya Allah.
Recorded, there was an apparition of a woman with long flowing hair and dressed in white who was sitting quietly on a tree on the left side of the road. Those who realized the presence of the figure that was suspected to be a kuntilanak were instantly very shocked and frightened and then turned off the recording. Company's CCTV camera recorded a strange incident involving a woman who was walking on the highway right in front of that company. Please observe. Very clearly recorded.
Ini perempuan yang ada jalan ini dari bengkel. Ini security ada suruh orang lihat dari CCTV buka jam 2 lewat. Nah, ini perempuan kan lihat. Dia bahagia di sebelah. Dia hilang.
The woman who was walking suddenly disappeared just like that. The security, an officer who realized the strangeness, immediately replayed the CCTV recording to make sure, and it turned out that indeed the woman figure disappeared suddenly.
Neng, duka badai ke mana?
Where can you open the door? A teenage girl that night playfully recorded the scenery of stars that she thought was very beautiful to show to her cousin. However, she didn't expect that instead she would be frightened by a strange apparition as follows. Please observe, Sita. Do you know?
Sita, tahu nggak? Aku mau kasih lihat bintang. Bintangnya bagus banget tahu. Mana ya bintangnya ya? Astagfirullahaladzim. Bintangnya ya. Astagfirullahaladzim.
I want to show you the stars. The stars are really beautiful. You know, where are the stars? Astaghfirullahalazim. The stars, Astaghfirullahalazim. As we could see, there is an apparition of a figure dressed in white with long flowing hair that was floating near the tree. The figure that is presumed to be a contaminac was observing the woman who was recording this, and she who immediately realized the presence of that figure was instantly shocked and terrified. A resident saw a strange apparition that was at the edge of the road and then immediately recorded it. Please observe. If there's someone placed there, they're floating. This young lady, I don't know where she's going. Like that. Very clearly recorded was the apparition that resembled a woman with long hair and dressed in white.
Dili aya nu wau ditaros teh malah hulang-hulang ieu si Neng duka bade ka mana. Posisina di walet. Disampeurkeun teh bade ka mana Neng? Teu nembalan malah hulang-hulang we. Sapala laur kieu.
Who was sitting quietly in a tree that was located at the edge of the highway. Her face looked very white and terrifying, and her gaze was directed toward the resident who was recording her. She's nearby. Where are you going, miss? She doesn't respond, just floats like that.
Disampeurkeun teh bade ka mana Neng? Teu nembalan malah hulang-hulang we. Sapala laur kieu.
A woman gathered courage to check strange sounds that came from inside a dry well behind her house at midnight, and observe what terrifying thing she found there. Did you hear that? It's heard down there.
¿Escucharon? ¿Escucharon eso? ¿Qué? Se oye allá abajo. ¿Hola?
Hello. No. Recorded on camera was an apparition of a strange figure with a black body and white eyes inside that well. The figure that looked terrifying then looked toward the woman, which made her instantly frightened and run seriously terrified, even crying hello. Someone intentionally installed a camera inside the forest and observe what terrifying thing that camera recorded. Very clearly recorded was a Pokong that suddenly appeared and then jumped, approaching the camera. As if aware that it was being recorded, the Pokong showed its terrifying face right in front of the camera. This apparition of a strange and terrifying figure was recorded by the camera of a ghost hunter who dared to livestream alone inside the forest. Please observe. As we could see, that figure has a very terrifying form and face. Sitting quietly kneeling right in front of that man. Surprisingly, the man could still remain calm, not panic, as if he didn't feel afraid at all. The video shows several residents and some small children who were experiencing fear. It turns out that night they claimed to see an apparition that looked like a kuntilanak in a tree. Observe carefully the video that was recorded by one of the residents. In that video, the form of the apparition they believe to be a kuntilanak is not seen very clearly due to the extreme darkness, and moreover, it was very far up in the trees. However, according to the testimony of those who were at the location, indeed, at that time they saw a figure that had the form of a kuntilanak in the tree. Go in. The CCTV camera installed in this kitchen recorded an incident experienced by a woman, the owner of the house. Please observe. Very clearly recorded. Something suddenly pulled that woman's hair very strongly until it made her fall to the floor immediately. The woman, who realized there was no one else there besides herself, was instantly very shocked and terrified. The CCTV camera installed in front of a shop recorded a strange incident experienced by a man who appeared to be sitting relaxed. Observe carefully the following video. Seconds of CCTV motion sensor detecting an invisible creature. Turning on the ignition key of the motorcycle. As we have already seen, the CCTV sensor detected something that made it move and rotate. Then, a few seconds later, that man's motorcycle suddenly turned on by itself, which made the man startled, and then turn off his motorcycle engine again. Realizing that something strange was happening, the man then asked the shop owner to replay the CCTV recording.